Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review. And in this video I'm going to review Be Up a Hello by Squarepusher. Squarepusher, one of the biggest and one of the most important names in the whole IDM scene, fusing lots of elements of like breakcore and drill and bass, and definitely one of the things that has made lots of his previous albums so special and making him stand out compared to other artists in the genre is his fusion of jazz music, like jazz sampling, jazz drumming, which is also a sound that he has embraced even more up until today, especially with his works as Soba Leader 1. Having lots of albums in his belt and a career that has started building up since the 90s, he is definitely one of the more important and more well received and loved artists in this whole genre. However, for me, he's not one of the most special ones, at least for me. I think that some of his works are quite good, but never has Squarepusher managed to really intrigue me in comparison with some other contemporaries like Aphex Twin or like Otekre, or to the more extreme Venetian snares. As much as I like his more different and more unique approach on the genres, he hasn't really made that many albums that would like impress me, and especially with some of his more recent works I was slightly underwhelmed with what he would put out. However, Be Up a Hello seemed to be one of the more promising he would do, because even slightly listening to some of the teaser tracks, it was apparent that Squarepusher was going into a bit of a different direction with his sound, still embracing the elements of IDM, but this whole jazzy flair seemed to be missing here. This seemed like his more straight up IDM work, and what I've heard with just the teaser tracks really impressed me. And truth be told, getting into this brand new album of Squarepusher, we see a bit of a change up in his direction compared to lots of albums that he has done over the years. But this also ends up being one of the better works he has done in a very long time. Be Up a Hello's more straightforward approach into just IDM and drill and bass music worked really in his favor in this particular album, because it definitely presents some very cool ideas, not necessarily that refreshing or that just unique, but they're enough to just immediately catch your attention. Also, the great thing about this album is that it's only 9 tracks and it goes for about 40 something minutes long, because with some of the other occasions of some Squarepusher albums, they would tend to get really long-winded, and for mainly that reason his albums would just get cramped up with so many tracks that you were unable to avoid some certain duds here and there. And this is certainly not an issue with Be Up a Hello. The album just starts with some really catchy and sort of silly moments that have this happy feel that you can find in some works from Squarepusher. The tracks Oberlove and Hitsonu are great examples of that. They have lots of like silly blip blobs, they're cute, and they manage to be quite catchy and smooth in this whole mess of unorthodox breakbeats. But the album gets even messier and it shows its true colors with the next tracks, Nervelevers and Speedcrank, two of the best works from Squarepusher from like a very long time. Nervelevers was the first main single out of this album, and it was a great way to just introduce you to what this album was about to have. It is definitely one of the most solid moments, with some really great unorthodox structures in all over this thing, some really good production, and a really nice feel with a combination of an old school breakbeat that works really well, and all of those plucky synths with those speed up LFOs. It is a very good and very well done track, and that's the case with Speedcrank, which is also a big mess and a quite chaotic track. What I like about this is that, especially with the type of synths he uses, It reminds me a lot of Aphex Twin's Drugs area, which is a great thing because for me Drugs is my favorite project from Aphex Twin, and what was great with this album was the very tight combination of some really nice synth sounds and tense breakbeats, a sound that was a huge landmark for Aphex Twin, especially for this time and occasion. And for Speedcrank reminding me of those memories makes for a very good result. It is a great experience. The album has the first fall off in my opinion with the track Detroit People Mover. This track doesn't manage to really add up to everything the album was previously building up to, because we get a no beat track that it mostly consists of some ambient passages of lots of multiple synth melodies here and there. But I'm not really like a fan of like the synths and the whole sound of this thing. It doesn't really add up something on the album for just a short synth ambient experience. The album though builds up once again with a second teaser track, Vortrack, another great track in the Squarepusher catalog, also combining greatly some of the elements of old school breaks, and especially the sound of this thing. I like just how the velocity on some certain occasions seems to go up in some certain notes, and it gives this really nice sense of tension and just unpredictability with some of those sounds just hitting way heavily on reverb, and the whole sound of this thing is really well done. It is definitely the best track in here in terms of production, really imaginative sound. Then there's the track Terminal Slam, which is the track he had a video clip for, but for me it's not one of the most compelling moments in the album. If you count out the absolutely mesmerizing video clip, which gives a lot of T69 collapse vibes, the track itself was just decent. Nothing really sort of groundbreaking or something that really managed to stick out with the melodies or the drumming on this thing. Also kind of the same case with the track Mekrev Bass, though when it comes to the second half of this track I think it progresses far better, and I definitely dig the second half of this track. The bass response and the sound palettes in particular are absolutely spectacular. And then we end in sort of a like interlude moment with the track 80 on Dula, which is another one of those occasions where there's no beat attached to it and it's just ambient passages and sounds here and there. Though this one is slightly more compelling compared to Detroit People Mover, basically because it manages to at least build for a nice haunting and dark atmosphere surrounding this whole track, and the progression and the sounds adding up to it are kinda decent. But still, this doesn't make it like a great finisher for me. Even with some notable fillers and duds in this album, in general this work in particular manages to hold up pretty well, making it definitely one of the most compelling albums I've heard from Squarepusher in a very long time. For a person who was just quite neutral with the Squarepusher works, this one really pleased me. This is a very solid album. I'm going to give Be Happy Hello a 7+ out of 10. What's your opinion on this album? Like it, dislike it, why, and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.